That's it. That's it.
I want to say thank you. It's been a great week in Budapest, and I think this is the highlight of our trip here. And we appreciate your time and what you're doing here in the Parliament for Israel and for the whole world. And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just will mention that you have also some potential voters for Fidesz as well, beside myself, of course, that I'm already fulfilled potential. But this gentleman was born in Miskolc and he has Hungarian citizenship, and we just discussed in the last few days how important it can be to make even campaign for Fidesz in Israel, for Israelis with Hungarian citizenship. It's something that Alan did before for the American Republicans, and we have many allies in Israel that will be happy to do that. I can also tell you that myself, I have relatives in Israel that told me a week ago, said to me, I have Hungarian citizenship for 15, 17 years, I never went to vote. This year I will take my wife, I will take my son, I will take my daughter, and we are all going to vote for Fidesz and Viktor Orban. Israelis are understanding how important these elections to our allies, and we as Fidesz and the Conservatives allies in Israel, we are here to help as well.
Thank you very much. Just go ahead.
I don't know.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hungary. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and you still do, in this city. A few words about Hungary, the Hungarian foreign policy, and then I'm ready to answer your questions. Okay? So, be prepared. Hungary is a nation with a very special, unique history in European comparison. We have come from Asia, northwestern Uyghurian part of Asia. That's where the Hungarians came from. We have crossed the Kazakh Empire, and as you know, the Kazakh Empire assumed the heavenly religion. So there is a interesting pilgrimage time relationship between the Jewry and the Hungarians. Relationship which is in some mythology is reflected in our ancient past, when the 7 tribes of the Hungarians united their efforts to move westward. We arrived here in the 9th century, and we settled in 896 in this part of Europe. We were one of the last arrivals in Europe. We have taken Christianity in 1000, and that was the time when the Hungarian crown was prepared. I wonder if you had a visit in the parliament.
Small.
Sorry?
We have the show.
You had a show. Have you seen the crown?
Yes.
Yes.
St. Stephen's. Okay. So that crown was very interestingly a product of Byzantium Constantinople, but it was presented to the Hungarian king, St. Stephen, by Vatican, by the Roman Pope. So this kind of Eastern-Western relationship is embodied in our crown as well. That was the momentum in 1000 exact when the Hungarians became Christians. And our Saint Stephen, the first Christian king, was and is saint of the Eastern Church and the Western Church at the same time. It is very, very interesting that this kind of unity is Eastern Christianity and Western Christianity. This is still a major divide, as you know, after 1054, when the great schism happened in Christianity, and when the Eastern and the Western Church was split. But it was a strategic vision of St. Stephen to go for the West, not for the East. Because, as you know, after the Great Schism, there have been continuous attacks on the Byzantium, on the Eastern Roman Empire, and eventually the Ottomans, the Turks, have occupied the whole Eastern Empire, and they have arrived into Hungary as well. So in the 16th century, after 500 years of thriving Middle Age history, when the Hungarian kingdom was one of the big players in the European politics, in the 16th century we were occupied for 150 years by the Turks. We were liberated at the end of the 17th century. But throughout this period, the majority of the Hungarian population became Protestants. So Protestantism is another important weight in the Hungarian Christian thinking. Basically Calvinism, Presbyterianism, which is strong in the United States, a decisive force of Presbyterian Christianity, but also in Scotland, in Switzerland, in the Netherlands, there is a broad wave. We are the easternmost, very strongly determined country by Protestantism from the 16th and the 17th century. Then, in the 17th century, when we were liberated, the Habsburg rule came, and it came with a very strong influence of counter-reformation. And in Europe, in the 16th century, major religious wars took place between different wings of Christianity, especially Catholicism and Protestantism. But this role of the Habsburg was a twofold role. They were fighting the Hungarian independence movement, and at the same time they were developing fundamentally especially in the 18th and the 19th century, the Hungarian cities, capitals, and a very high level of emancipation took place towards the Jewish community in the 19th century. Hungary was one of the first to emancipate the Jewish population. As you know, the main bulk of the European Jewry was moving westward in the 19th century from Ukrainian, Russian territories and Central Asian territories slowly towards the west. And in Vienna, in Budapest, and in other Central European cities, a very decisive Jewish population was created by the 20th century. So there are many predecessors of yours who are coming from this region. And when Zionism was born, it was not an accident that it was born in this city. So Herzl was living 500 meters from here, where he developed the concept of Zionism. This high level of integration resulted that they have been in big numbers the producers of this fantastic parliament. Jewish craftsmen had their input into this building at the end of the 19th century. The most famous is Mefgsh, who prepared the beautiful stained glass windows. And there is a Mefgsh museum in Budapest, which I suggest you to see, and the high aristocracy, the higher middle class, was very proud for this culture, and it was trendy to have Mefgsh glasses in their urban and even rural buildings and castles. Just an example of how this input was. But if you look around, you will see a lot of David crosses under the walls and so on. So this building has a major impact and a reflection of that kind of coexistence. The 20th century was not less tragic in the Hungarian history. We had two very drastic, brutal wars. The first war resulted in the division of the historical Hungarian kingdom into 7 pieces. And now the present Hungary is only the 1/3 of the historical territory. And the ethnic Hungarian population, including the ethnic Jewry, was also divided to a level that only the 1/3 of the Hungarian ethnic population, including the Jews, were left in the neighboring countries. Romania, Slovakia, Ukraine, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, these are, and Austria, these are our 7 neighbors. The large extent we were one country. Then we had the Austro-Hungarian monarchy with the last country. We were one country. The Second World War was also brutally tragic in Europe. And in Budapest, Hitler had a very tough position. He said that he wants to protect in Budapest Vienna. Because Vienna was close to his heart, but Budapest was not. For that reason, Budapest was destroyed. And when he destroyed the Jewry, around 5 to 6 million, the Hungarian Jewry was also to a large number annihilated in the concentration camps. Not in Budapest. The Budapest Jewish community survived. And that had, to a large extent, the role of David Aborti played in that story. There is a big historical debate about it, but this is our firm position that it wouldn't have been possible. Around 200,000 Jews have survived. Against the fact that we have this beautiful monument, the shoes, in front of the parliament. Have you seen the shoes?
Yes.
Against the fact there have been, at the end of 44, executions affecting the Jewish community as well. Against that fact, by and large, we can say they have survived. Today, we have a large Jewish community in Budapest, which is probably 3rd largest after London and the Paris community. There is a quite broad structure of their life, schools, social institutions, restaurants, pubs, everything, you know. So the Jewish culture in Budapest is thriving, and I would say that the safest place today for a Jewish Budapest. It was said by the American ambassador David Conshan in this parliamentary committee, my committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee. We hope that we will be able to stay with it. Another bridgehead in our relationship is the Hungarian-speaking Jewish community in Israel, which is also a big one. It is around 300,000 who have some competence speaking this language. This is a very unique language, the Hungarian language. But I'm sure that some of your relatives can tell you more about this, because this is a really strong community, a strong bond. The Hungarian music, the Hungarian literature, the Hungarian language between our countries. And the Hungarian food. And the Hungarian confectionery, the fantastic desserts and food. Yes. Foreign policy, Hungary has got rid of the Soviet occupation 35 years ago. We had the transition from communism to democracy. We have joined the EU, we have joined NATO, we have been able to rebuild our Western relations after a long, 50 years long totalitarian history. In the beginning with the fascists and then with the communists, the Nazis and the communists. Now I think that we have got probably one of the best bilateral relationship Israel is having with the European country. And we hope to keep it. In 2006, Prime Minister Orban and some of us visited Jerusalem and stayed in the King David Hotel, and then we have probably decided to come as close as we can to each other. And then the personal relationship between Netanyahu, Prime Minister, and Viktor Orban, Prime Minister, was started in 2006, just 20 years ago. And since then it is very strong. We had recently his visit in Budapest, and we are trying to give our support. I believe that the past few years have been tragic. The 7th of October was one of the most tragic story in the contemporary Jewish history, and developments afterwards, especially the transformation of the broader Middle East and the influence of Iran in the Arabic world has drawn the political map of the Middle East. We pay attention to it, and we hope that the stability of the state of Israel is going to be strengthened in the future furthermore. I think there are positive tendencies these days. We need to reinforce and strengthen them. And I think the Atlantic tie for both of us is very important. Because a very important guarantee for our security and freedom lies in the transatlantic relationship. You are, to some extent, very similar to the Hungarians in a large number. Your community, your nation is living outside Israel. We had the same situation. So, 2/3 of the Hungarians live in Hungary, but the 1/3 live outside. In the neighboring countries, half of those who live outside, and the other half live in diaspora. We have a large community in the US as well. US, Canada, Australia, all over the world. But this 20th century history resulted in it, so we have a kind of diaspora nation situation, but you have that. And I think it is a big and important task in front of you, how to harmonize the national nation-state strategy and that of the diaspora. Because we should look at these possibilities as complementary opportunities for our nation, not as a negative situation. So, questions, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming to Hungary, and hope you will enjoy yourself, and you will be
between the two countries, and there is no question that Hungary is one of the best friends for Israel, especially in Europe. Isn't that the time that you moved your embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem as a part of alliance, a Jewish-Christian alliance?
You know, we have moved one of our offices to Jerusalem. So we have created our diplomatic presence in Jerusalem as well. We believe that we need to move forward on this road. It's a sensitive diplomatic exercise. It requires harmonization among those who are supporting Israel, especially with the US. So it is a strategic goal that we are going to be in Jerusalem, but how we realize is an important question of diplomatic tactics.
I can tell in this way, just was 2 weeks ago in the office in Jerusalem of the trade office.
Yes.
And yes, it's there, and they told me that they're looking for the place for also for the culture
Cultural
office.
Institute,
Yeah.
right.
And yeah, we see that it's developing, but yeah, it will be the first European country in Jerusalem. It will be a great honor.
I have a question actually. You mentioned that the conflict between East and West, in the beginning of the foundation of Hungary, how Hungary managed to walk between the trolls. My question is how you do it today when the conflict between East and West
Yeah.
is that bad?
Yeah, and we have created a foreign policy which we call the Eastern Opening. And to some extent it was a global opening in the last 15 years, 4 consecutive cycles with varying government. And we have been able to build close ties with many Eastern and Southern, non-Western and non-NATO, non-European global players. Here I would like to mention the role of China. China has become a major global decisive political force, and they have paid attention to our opening towards them. We didn't have too much economic relationship before 2010, but in the last couple of years they have intensified. They accepted our open hand, and now we have got quite much investments coming from China. But it is not just China. We have, because of this Asian relationship, a very special relationship with the South Koreans. The South Koreans look at us as a relative nation, a nation who is in blood relationship with us, which is a very unique situation. So now the biggest, the most relevant investors from that part of the world is coming from Korea, from South Korea, obviously. After the transition, the interest of the Japanese business was also strong. This collaboration between the Asian powers and Hungary is something that we would like to continue, and we would like to see a more cooperating global community. Now the Trump policy is something very new in this context, and we follow day by day how Shanghai Cooperation Council or the BRICS is trying to find its relationship towards this new Trumpist approach to global politics. We are encouraged by the fact that they still negotiate. They negotiated with China, they negotiated India. And I think the efforts relating to Russia, which is now also a very sensitive issue on the global landscape, how this war can be terminated, we are convinced that there is no military solution for this war. There are different wars all over the world. You have a special situation in the Middle East. But concerning the Russian-Ukrainian war, Hungary pursues a quite consequent peace policy, a peace approach. And we believe that the efforts of Trump must be successful, because if Trump is not successful, no one will be able to terminate this bloodshed, which is taking place on a daily basis. Around 500,000, 1 million victims, what we can now identify in the Russian-Ukrainian bloodshed, which is our neighborhood. We are bordering, as you know, the Ukraine, and we have got a large Hungarian community there as well. So the big and important question that how we will be able to turn into diplomacy, into collaboration, into economic collaboration, the decades in front of us. So we try to represent this voice in an environment which is becoming, in our opinion, too confrontative, too block-minded, too militaristic, and to create a kind of counterbalance in this tendency in NATO and inside the European Union. This is a kind of common denominator among conservatives and patriots in our political family. This is probably the reason why conservatives and patriots are getting stronger and stronger in Europe. As you know, we have established a new political party, the Patriotic Party in Europe. So in the European Parliament now we are the third biggest. We have established this together with the French, the Le Pen party, the Austrian FPÖ, the Czech ANO, and now we have 11 countries who are getting influential, more and more in their countries, this political party. The Conservatives, Georgia Meloni is a separate party in the European Parliament, but the approach to many questions, the cultural questions especially, the collaboration between the patriots and the conservatives is very important. But we are trying to make clear that a pro-Israeli stance and a very strong attitude towards anti-Semitism must be part of this. Because the story of these parties is not always clear, as you may have been aware of. So this kind of tendency that we now see, especially in France, is encouraging. We are glad to see that the anti-Semitic party, the old Le Pen, who was openly anti-Semitic, is now turned around by his daughter. And Mr. Pardella reaching out towards Israel and so on. I think it would be important for you to pay attention to this. Because now this political under formation. And your presence and your participation in this might be important. I would say that now in Europe, the challenge against Israel is not coming from the right, but much more, interestingly, from the left. So the Christian conservative pole of the European politics is now clearly pro-Israel, while the radical left is very aggressively anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian. You have to pay attention to this. And I think your role is supposed to be good, and you are active in politics. I think your role might be important in this process.
Who you feel that is stronger now? Which side is stronger nowadays?
You know, it is not just party politics. There are important national components in this, and I think it is important to see that by and large the German politics is pro-Israel, and I think it is important to pay attention to that. But, for example, very interesting, the Czechs as a nation are also very important supporters of Israel. You don't always find a clear answer why this is. It is not always class or party lines, but these national histories play an important role in this tendency. I think we are roughly in a slight majority with our position. And if you add the clear stance of the United States, then I think there is no any imminent danger in this pro-Israeli political line. But you have to be careful, always. You have to be careful because the tension on Israel, Gaza, and especially these days, it is huge. And it is coming up every day, and I think a kind of proper balanced approach to efforts what you are pursuing is needed to maintain this kind of slight majority behind Israel.
Sorry, efforts towards peace, efforts towards what? Balance?
No, to keep the friends.
Sorry?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned the elections and that going to be soon. What do you see as the main challenges and opportunities for your party, and how it may outcome influence the Hungary foreign policy, especially regarding Israel, if it's good?
I would like to ask you if you have more questions to tell me. I will try to collect all your questions, and because slowly we have to end our discussion.
I'll take one more question from the
Okay.
question as well.
Okay, go ahead. I will listen to all of you.
Okay. We spoke about the history of the tribe of Hungary. So we're sharing a big history between the philosophy of life. All of us, we learned the Kuzari. It's one of the most important philosophy, Jewish philosophy, and it's a debate between the king Kuzari, that is from Hungary, between the Jewish people. So I would ask you, there is a lot of changes in Europe and also in the Middle East. What do you see the most close threat in the world? There are a lot of forces that are rising now. You mentioned China and Japan, and the old one are Russia and United States. Who is the most dangerous actor in those days in this world?
Thank you.
I think it's related to my question. How do you see the future of tariffs and London? Because Hungary is safe. You saved yourself in very courageous act, I think, and we appreciate it. I think the whole world now understands how you saved yourself. But what is their future? I mean, they're occupied.
They have a future, European future, or our future?
Yeah, yeah.
If I may continue the question,
Yeah.
I want to ask, where do you take the strength and the power to stand on your policy immigration against the European Union and you pay so much money, etc., etc.?
Yeah.
Hungarian has a lot of power.
You're very optimistic about Europe, but for us to go in Paris or London with a kippah or
The Jewish look.
Jewish
They're
look
scared.
in the city,
Here it's
very
safe,
afraid.
but in Paris and
Come here.
Coming here.
Maybe you will come to see in the last
We hear only Hebrew
You
on the
know,
streets.
go there where you feel safe. So that's what I can advise to you. You can change your environment. But the lady wanted to ask something. I will come back.
Yes. You need this or you
No, I hear you.
Okay. So there are many forms of anti-Semitism. I'm, for instance, being called a white colonizer for living in Judea and Samaria. So I'd like to hear your position, considering that other European and Christian countries condemn us for living in our homeland.
Sure.
Another question? That's it.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, so let's start with this the Hungarian domestic questions. Now we have got first time in the last 15 years a challenger of Fidesz. This is a party of a gentleman who was our member. He has separated himself from us. He had high positions in the government, and his wife was Minister of Justice. They are divorced now, and he is now in the European Parliament. At the European Parliament elections, he was first very successful, and now they have 7 members in the European Parliament. The European People's Party has integrated them, and the European People's Party is now supporting them. So von der Leyen and Manfred Weber and this traditional Christian democratic line of the European politics stood behind. And there probably is a link of your question to the migration, because as you know, in Europe we have a major debate on this subject, and that's why originally we were members of the EPP as well, but we were basically fired from the EPP because our positions, especially on migration, it was more complex, but probably the most important issue was migration. And this party is now doing well in the opinion polls. So they are close to us. They are 2-3% behind us, but they are quite close. coming from protesting the 15 years government of Hungary. There have been young generations who 50 years ago were not even existing, you know. So we are in government for quite a long time, and they just say that they want to change. And this need for or demand for change and rejection of the presence is their most important asset. Our organization is strong. They don't really have an organization, but they have this protest movement, and this protest movement is the challenge for us. And we need to be very active on the digital platforms, because they are strong in the digital segment. They are winning at the moment. So we have to pull ourselves together and to be active on the digital field. However, I think our strength and our program, our organization, and the closer we go towards election, the people will be probably less emotional and become more rational in their decisions. That is what we are aiming at. So it will be a tough elections what we are going to have next April. How it will influence the foreign policy, we don't know, because their only program at the moment is the rejection of the Fidesz government and the prime minister. So we don't know too much about what they would do in the field of foreign affairs. I think they will be a very close associates of the European People's Party. So what von der Leyen is, and what Manfred Weber, and what the present EU Commission is representing, they will accommodate to that. That seems to be the most probable approach. It is not too promising. It is not too promising. That brings me to the migration question. So migration was mismanaged in Europe for long decades. And now they are confronting with this problem. In 2015, 10 years ago, we had a major conflict with Angela Merkel on this subject. And then we have built the border fences in the southern border of Hungary. At that time, it was regarded as racist and fascist and so on. But now the EU is realizing that there must be some physical protection of our borders as well. And now they are supporting what they were rejecting 10 years ago, but they don't say sorry. They are trying to accommodate more and more to our approaches. Now you can see that the German Chancellor is very tough on returns. The return of the illegal migrants to Afghanistan or Syria. What is the future of Paris and Britain and London and the big cities, Marseille or Brussels or Amsterdam and these cities? Well, we are in the hand of the providence. So hope that there will be more and more who realize that this is their own approach, what they now pursue. And you can see that the anti-migration political forces get stronger and stronger. And the European history is about ability to renew itself. So hopefully that this Western tradition of ability to find appropriate solutions will prevail, that is what we are trying to achieve in Brussels, to let those member states who want to protect themselves, to let them do it. We would like to ask some tolerance towards our policies and flexibility. This is now the main question of Europe. Is it going to become a centralized federal state with hierarchical decisions? Or is it going to remain a flexible framework of nation states respecting sovereignty and national identity inside Europe? This is the most important divide among the patriots and among the federalists. Federalists are not just on the left and the progressives, but EPP to some extent is also part of this. Building the European empire. We don't want to become, we have experienced empires quite often in our history, and we think that the most appropriate framework for democracy and political decision making is the nation state. And we think that Europe's future is strong nation states and with their ability to collaborate in crucial common interest fields of politics. So this is how what is the challenge? The challenge is two. I think the caliphate on the one hand, and centralized, progressive European empire building. The two forms of empire building and extremism, because there is a religious extremism, there is a progressive extremism, and they are coming very close to each other. So I think the moderate Islam is a very important ally to the world. And as the West, with the Judeo-Christian heritage, we need to reach out towards, I believe, the moderate Islam and all the moderate forces of the global South, the global South. Because you can find partners. That is our experience. You can find partners. And at the same time, we have to strengthen our identity, our self-reflection, and our common cultural and religious heritage. We believe that religion is the main source of rejuvenation of societies. So we are very committed to supporting religious denominations, Jewish, Protestant, Catholic, and we are brothers and sisters, especially with you. The Old Testament is our Bible, and your Bible.
It's very interesting.
And we look at you as a chosen people. And that's why we believe that we need to be in brotherhood with you and support you. And concerning the future of Israel, it is in your hand how you will coexist with the Arabs. And hope you will be able to find coexistence with the Arabic population, which is in a large number in your country.
20%.
Sorry?
20%.
20%. But if you add those who don't have citizenship, it is even more. So still more problem. So you need to find a way for coexistence. But there are ways in many countries in the world where proper coexistence could be established. Not necessarily from so distant cultural backgrounds, but different cultural backgrounds as well. So I think the approach towards power sharing, towards autonomies, towards different models of coexistence is something that is important to realize in your country as well. But it is your responsibility and your possibility how you will create appropriate conditions for future generations. It is part of the long-term security